Hello and welcome back to another Monster Monday, a series where I draw a creature from D&D and I talk about its lore and its history and what it's like to fight. Today I'll be carrying on where I left off talking about the Gith. I'll leave a link down in the description box where you can find the first video. But last week we talked predominantly a bit about the Githyanki, and today we're going to be talking about the lawful neutral cousins to these lawfully evil creatures called the Githzerai. So as I mentioned last video, the Githzerai were formed as a result of a divergence, a fault, a rupture in the collective consciousness of the Gith people. After freeing themselves from enslavement from the spacefaring Illithid Empire and subsequently tracking them down and culling as many as they could, half of the Gith people rallied behind their leader, named Gith, and became a warlike civilization, decreeing that only the strong survive and that it is their duty to A, become the strongest, but B, also strengthen all the other species that they could find by causing similar levels of chaos and tumult in their lives. The other half of the Gith people, following an elder called Zerthimon, decided that enough harm had been done. They didn't want to fall to corrupt and evil ideas as perhaps the Illithids did themselves, and instead wanted to choose the life of pacifism. They were free, they had caused vengeance upon the Illithids, and they wanted to experience life to the fullest. However, also wary of perhaps the Illithids rising up and seeking vengeance upon those that decimated their empire, they wanted to do so in private, where they could no longer be interfered with. This dispute caused a civil war between the two species. Naturally, the already warlike Githyanki were extremely hostile and offended to this idea. To them, Zerthimon wasn't proposing an idea of peace and serenity. He was betraying Gith, the person who saved them from their slavery in the first place. To deny her vengeance, to stray from the path of war, wasn't only weak and cowardly, it was hateful, ungrateful, and needed to be stamped out. Unwilling to slay their brothers and sisters initially, the Githzerai threw down their weapons. They would not take up arms against their fellow Gith. The vast majority similarly vowed to never touch weapons again, which is why if you ever fight a Githzerai or play as one, all of their attacks are psionic or are unarmed fist attacks, where they channel their psionic energy not through the silver swords of the Githyanki, but through their own bodies. Realizing that this dispute would only further harm the Gith people as a whole, the two species separated and segregated themselves, the Githyanki, travelling through their Illithid technology ships into the astral plane, and the Githzerai instead went to Limbo, a realm of unbridled chaos. We talked a little bit about Limbo when I was talking about the Slads in my Slad Monster Monday. This is a realm where nothing makes sense, where thought can shape reality, where emotions conjure beings into existence, where states of matter are up to opinion. Two people who travel to this dimension may see utterly different things because that's the nature of chaos. But the Gith as a people had long since become psionic as a result of their exposure to the immense psychic powers of the Illithid Empire, and realizing that through calm, through focus and conviction, the Githzerai could use their psychic abilities to manifest islands of lore, islands of calm amidst this writhing torrent of insanity, and to literally shape and control this whole plane of existence to fit their ends, provided that they stayed focused and disciplined. As a result, emotionalness, fear, self-doubt, hatred, love, excitement, all of these things plagued the Githzerai, but this only made their minds more strong. They could build, they could have order and structure and survive in an environment where no one would dare assault them or assail them, but they needed to remain mindful of their emotions at all times, to never let their thoughts consume them because they would manifest or destroy their local environments. Naturally, the Githzerai became extremely monastic as a result, centering themselves, focusing on reality in its most simple forms, and not allowing them to become too attached to their thoughts. It's no surprise, therefore, that these creatures are lawful neutral, as most monks tend to be. You can always tell when you're seeing a Githzerai settlement, because you'll see an enormous, rigid, angular structure stand in stark contrast to the insanity and turmoil of Limbo around it. These things are order made manifest, and stick out like the sorest of sore thumbs. Now the Githzerai rarely travel outside of Limbo, but when they do, they bring a little bit of it with them. Monks from all over the many planes of existence will seek out Githzerai encampments, monasteries and schools, because these creatures have learned to discipline themselves so well that they can survive in the most uncomfortable, in the most difficult, in the most distracting of environments. They have a lot to teach the monks of the material plane. So people will often travel to mysterious frozen mountain lands and see these obelisks, these monasteries of pure order, around which a zone of utter chaos seems to radiate, something that seems uncomfortable to look at, a little piece of limbo manifest in the material plane. Birds will instinctively fly away from it. Animals won't approach it because it's unnatural. Not that it's harmful, not that it's evil, but that it's not right. They can't focus on it, they can't think about it for too long, because even though it is a structured thing, it is made out of the stuff of Limbo. However, it's not just monks who will wish to venture to Githzerai monasteries. You may want to go there to trade in adamantite. These creatures are some of the only that you will ever encounter that can work with this material, something so strong that it cannot be forged, it cannot be smithed, not by any traditional means. However, when in the hands of the Githzerai, or taken to Limbo, the rules of malleability, of solidity, no longer make sense, and it can be worked and forged into weapons, into jewellery, who knows, perhaps even into bed sheets or nightgowns. You could have an adamantite pillow or an adamantite feather, but then once returned to the material plane, it becomes as hard and as heavy as adamantite ever was. The Githzerai have become masters of this craft. As such, this is the material that they use to build their monasteries, impervious fortresses of thought, relying more heavily on their mental powers and on their unarmed skills than their Githyanki brothers. The Githzerai even tend not to wear this adamantite as armor, preferring instead to use their minds to shield themselves, allowing them to include their wisdom modifier in their armor class. And whereas the Githyanki use their kinetic abilities like Mage Hand, Jump, Misty Step and so on to enhance their combat prowess, the Githzerai tend to use it more for survival. They can form a psionic shield around themselves, cast Featherfall so they won't take damage from great heights, jump, or even see invisibility. Their unarmed attacks do less damage by themselves than the greatsword attacks of the Githyanki, doing only 1d8 plus 2 as opposed to 2d6 plus 2, but their psionic damage is slightly greater, adding an extra 2d8 to their attacks versus the 2d6 of the Githyanki. Starting as monks, they may train to become Zerths. Moving from a challenge rating 2 to a challenge rating 6, they gain incredible psychic abilities, and their armor class as a result of their psionic shielding is almost as good as half-plate. The true aim of the Githzerai, though, is to become enlightened. They spend all of their time meditating, trying to transcend reality and their physical forms. Once they achieve this, they realize that their psionic ability is such that they do not need to be in limbo to alter reality. They can even strike a punch that alters time itself. The initial blow deals 2d8 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, but the target is then shifted through time to appear later, receiving a massive 8d12 psychic damage as they are torn from their reality and re-emerge with a wound that their grandchildren will still be able to feel. But the differences between these two subspecies of the Gith is not so enormous. They still have fairly similar traditions, and just as the Spartans sent out their children to graduate by surviving in the woods, and I mentioned that that is similar to the behaviour of the Githyanki, who send out their adults to slay their own illithid before they can return. The refined Athenians also had similar practices, providing tests of wilderness survival for their young, despite the fact they were known for being so refined and elegant that the Spartans were believed to be brutal savages. So too the Githzerai embark on similar illithid hunting tactics. However, instead of a solitary act, they organise rakmas, R-R-A-K-K-M-A, perhaps rakma, with a roll, which are hunting parties that leave Limbo and may not return until they have killed as many illithid as are in the party. Their hatred for these creatures is still strong. Perhaps if you again choose to roll up your own player character as a Githzerai using the rules in the Tome of Foes, this is how your adventurer comes into the material plane. Perhaps they and their band of adventurers, their Rakma, seek out to find illithids to do their part. Their party are quickly set upon and destroyed. Your character wishes desperately to do honor the deaths of his Rakma, and seeks to become stronger and wiser and capable of taking out as many illithids as there were members of his raiding party. As the years pass by, they feel like they're losing hope, but eventually they stumble upon your band of adventurers and join the party, realizing they are stronger in a group than they were alone, and together you can accomplish the goal of defeating as many illithids as will bring honor to those that died. I like the addition of the Githzerai because they were added later, and they expanded the lore of these creatures from being just another enemy, a lawful evil creature, a humanoid that you might fight, perhaps with psychic powers, but they come to the idea of the Gith as being a people. They weren't actually introduced to D&D until 1981's Fiend Folio, and they were created by Charles Stross, who I mentioned before in my Slads video, but they're a sci-fi writer. Surprise, surprise, this very sci-fi creature comes into the world of D&D, but they really expanded the idea of the Gith as a culture, as people with different and conflicting ideas. And to that end, there's actually a third sort of secret sect of the Githzerai or Githyanki, the Gith people as a whole, called the Shassal Ko, who are a secret society of Gith who want to reunite the two people as one Gith species. They realize that although both are doing separate efforts to eliminate illithids from reality, their divergent behavior has caused such strength in the two in such different ways, but also a way of finding something to live for after the fighting is done. These Gith keep their behavior secret because these thoughts, these ideas are treasonous in both societies. However, eventually they hope to reunite the Gith people as one, and when they do, their direction as a superpower of some kind may either bring great benefit or terrifying consequences for the people of the material plane. Anyway guys, this has been the Githzerai and has wrapped up neatly my two-part series on the Gith as a whole. I hope you enjoyed both videos. I really loved studying these guys and coming up with kind of sci-fi monks and Spartans at the same time. It was really cool. So if you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, then please make sure to leave a little thumbs up, perhaps favorite this video and share it with some of your friends. All of that helps this channel to grow, so that's really cool of you. If you like this image in particular, or both images even, and you'd like to get a copy for yourself, but also support me to make the videos that I do, I'd urge you to head over to Patreon, where backers at various different levels get prints of all of my Monster Mondays that I do each month, and as I say, they help me to make this content, so thank you so much. If you have any creatures that you'd like to see me draw, please make sure to leave those down in the comment section below, and until next time, happy monster hunting.